Welcome to Heirloom Stitchery. In today's episode, I'll be showing you how to sew a centered zipper. To complete this project, you're going to need the following supplies. A zipper. For this sample, I'm using a 7-inch all-purpose zipper with plastic teeth. If you're following your own pattern, you will use whatever size your pattern recommends. There are many different types of zippers with their own sewing methods. Because of this, I don't recommend using any exposed zippers or zippers with metal teeth. Okay, back to our supply list. You'll need a zipper foot, which comes standard in most sewing machines, a pair of scissors, in this case I'm using thread snips, a seam ripper, thread to match your fabric and zipper, an iron and an ironing board, pins and a pin cushion. This wrist pin cushion can be found in my Etsy shop. Finally, I recommend having 1/2-inch wide clear tape or washi tape and a fabric marking pin. I prefer to use water soluble as it's easier to clean. If you're following along with me in this sample, you will need to cut out 2 pieces of fabric that measure 9 3/4 inches by 7 inches. As you can see, I have starched and serged the edges to prepare for this sample. I recommend doing some type of seam finish to your fabric. Let's talk for a moment about the anatomy of a zipper. First, this is the tab. When the tab is facing toward us, we're looking at the right side of the zipper. When the tab is pointing up, the zipper is unlocked and easier to slide. When the tab is down, the zipper locks. This is how manufacturers keep your pants from unzipping on you. If you're looking at the back of the tab, then you're looking at the wrong side of the zipper. Here are the teeth. They hook together when the zipper is closed. Next is the zipper stop. When we close the zipper, it prevents the tab from flying off. The bottom zipper stop serves the same purpose, however, it is clamped around the bottom of the teeth to hold them together. The last piece that we have is the tape. This is the fabric that runs down both sides of the zipper and makes it possible for us to attach the zipper to our fabric. Finally, I want to explain zipper sizes. Mine says it's a 7-inch zipper. This measurement is taken from the top zipper stop to the bottom zipper stop. This leaves us with extra zipper tape at the top to leave room for our final pieces like a bodice or a facing. Now that we have the anatomy lesson under our belts, it's time to close the zipper seam. When we are working with a pattern, the manufacturer will mark where the bottom zipper stop will rest. To have an accurate final result, I recommend leaving 3/4 inch between the top of the fabric and the top zipper stop. For this reason, I am basting 7 3/4 inch closed. A basting stitch is 4 millimeters long. The rest of your seam is going to be closed with the regulation stitch length, which is 2.4 millimeters. For the sample, this section is only 2 inches long. For demonstration purposes, I've written on the fabric with a water-soluble pen. If it makes it easier for you to remember where to sew, you can pause for a moment and do the same. Just be sure to wash the markings off before pressing or they become permanent. We need to pin the seam closed with right sides of the fabric together. To do this, make sure that the heads of the pins are on the outside of the seam and that the pins are perpendicular to the edge of the fabric. This helps your seam lay flat and makes pinning very easy to remove. Let's begin sewing. Make sure that the stitch length is set to 2.4 millimeters. Sew the seam, being sure to backstitch at the beginning and the end. With the needle down, pause for a moment and change your stitch length to 4 millimeters. Let's baste the seam closed. There's no need to backstitch at the beginning or end of basting because it's temporary stitches. This is what it looks like when it's finished. The next step is to press the seam open. Make sure to remove any markings first, and remember that to press, it will hold the iron to the seam for 15 to 20 seconds. Normally, I would always use a press cloth, but I wanted you to see what I was doing, and just in case anyone was worried about the dark red where the iron has been, it isn't burned. Red dyes are just highly reactive to heat. Now that our seam is pressed open, it's time to baste the zipper into place. Here is the normal seam section, and here's the basted section. Open the zipper and lay it right side down onto our seam. Line up the top zipper stop 3/4 inch from the top of your fabric. Then align the teeth with the edge of the center seam. We don't want the teeth to cross over the middle. When we're pinning the zipper tape, be sure the pins are pointed toward the top of your garment or sample. We will be stitching from the top down, so pinning this way makes removing the pins easy. When approaching the bottom of the zipper, we'll notice that there's some warping or curving in the fabric. This is created because of the bulk of the tab. To finish pinning smoothly, simply pull the tab to the top, being sure to leave the tab pointing up, which keeps it unlocked. Since we're stitching from the top down, we want to move the zipper tab down to the bottom. It's time to attach the zipper foot. Some feet will pop off with a button on the back or need to be screwed off. For this Viking, I slide either forward or back to change out my presser feet. This may look different for you depending on your machine, but the principles are the same. For sewing the tape on the right, the foot needs to be as far to the right as it can go. The zipper foot is designed to run along the edge of the zipper teeth. We then adjust the needle to be 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch from the center seam. You can use a seam gauge or a ruler to measure from the center to your needle. We're now ready to baste in the zipper. We baste from the top to the bottom, removing the pins as the presser foot gets near them. As we approach the end of this side, we see that the tab is blocking us. Grab it and pull it out of the way. To do this, make sure that the needle is down and lift the presser foot up. Close the zipper. After finishing your basting, here's what it looks like. In hindsight, I would have preferred to sew the basting a little further from the center so that the final stitches weren't directly on top of it. To baste the left side, we will pin from the bottom up. When we are nearing the tab, we push it down to the bottom stop and finish pinning. Here we want to stop and change the position of our zipper foot and the needle. For the left side, we're moving the presser foot to the leftmost position, and again we're arranging the needle between 1/4 and 3/8 of an inch from the center line. While stitching, we can see where the zipper tape starts to curve outward. As soon as we see the curve, we need to put the needle down, raise the presser foot, and push the tab all the way back up to the top. I found that my seam ripper was really useful in getting into this tight space. To permanently hold the zipper in place, we're going to top stitch. Find and mark the top of the bottom zipper stop. This will become the lower stitching line. Use a water-soluble marker to draw a line. Our top stitches are going to be sewn from the bottom center of the zipper out and then up each side individually. The finishing stitches need to be 1/4 of an inch away from the center line on each side. It's time to add our tape. Fold the tape in half. Match the fold to the center seam. Once it's in place, smooth the tape down. This will show you where your stitching needs to be, and it's a guaranteed way to ensure that you are 1/4 of an inch away from the center on each side. With the presser foot still in the leftmost position, begin your stitches in the center. I recommend turning the hand wheel towards you slowly so that the needle won't break against the zipper stop. Use the hand wheel until you reach the corner. Don't backstitch the bottom of the zipper. Leave your needle down, lift the presser foot, pivot, and stitch along the edge of the tape. As you get near the top, leave the needle down, raise the presser foot, push the zipper tab back down. This doesn't work well unless you have the zipper tab pointing upward. Once finished, close the zipper. Change the presser foot and the needle position again. This process needs to be repeated by starting with the hand wheel to create our first stitches. Lift the presser foot and then pivot, and then stitch along the edge of the tape until the zipper tab needs to be pushed out of the way again. We have reached the final steps of our zipper. Remove the tape, pull the first stitches that you took at the bottom center of the zipper towards the back so that you can tie a square knot. I kind of shimmy the thread until it comes through enough for me to pull on. Once you've tied your square knot, clip the extra threads. It's time to pull out all of your basting stitches. First, let's use a seam ripper to expose the zipper. I have the tip of my seam ripper gliding along the top of the teeth. Take it slow to prevent slipping and cutting your fabric. When we reach the bottom, push the tip of the seam ripper through the end of the last stitch. Remove all extra threads and outside basting. Congratulations on sewing your centered zipper. Although there are many methods for putting in a centered zipper, I have shared what I have found to be the most professional option with the highest success rate. I would love it if you would share your pictures of your zippers and any questions that you may have for me in the comments below. All of the items that you've seen me use throughout the video will be linked in the description. I will also have a link to my Etsy shop where you can order and print written instructions that will include pictures of all of my projects. Find my self-sharpening wrist pin cushions and other great products that I'm creating. I will regularly be updating my channel now, so please subscribe and click the notification bell so you will be updated when I've posted new content. For those who have been subscribed for a while, thank you. I know it's been a long wait. I will be posting in a separate video some of the changes that the last few years have brought that caused such a long delay in posting. If you're just subscribing, I'm so glad you joined my channel, and I hope that all of you will find what you need here. The next video will be how to sew a lap zipper. See you next time. God bless and happy sewing.